another person Delta Team 2-3 backup requested with full riot gear situation.
911, what's your emergency?
Copy that, Delta Team 7-7 in about 5 minutes.
One. And I'm not centered. Hello. Welcome, everybody, to Discover RPG. It is Monday, and we are here to discuss upcoming show. Specifically with Allorah for very good reason. Hello, Allorah.
Hello. It's me. It's my show.
I hope everybody's having a good night. I see Mouse. I see Liz. I'm sure there are others that
She's trying to
welcome.
get juicy details about the show, and it's not happening. It's not happening, bro. Don't worry about it.
So, specifically, we are talking about Outbreak, Undead, Signals of the Lost, which is our upcoming Nerdsmith Presents series. It is a post-apocalyptic zombie survival RPG. Outbreak Undead is the actual system it will be played in, which is a new system for us here at the network. So Allorah did a deep dive into what I understand is a relatively crunchy system.
It is, but it's gratifying in a lot of ways, and it's also interesting because we've been doing a lot of Hunters and Entertainment systems recently. We just did Kids on Bikes with Allorah, but Outbreak Undead is also an Hunters Entertainment system as well.
Sounds like they make games we like.
Huh?
Sounds like they make games we like.
I mean,
so props to them.
I don't know if you've ever seen Alice is Missing, but that's also a really good one.
I know of it. I just have never played it, and I don't know much about it.
We should look into that later because it's really fun.
We have a lot of we can check out that. We have a lot of recently backed Kickstarter RPGs that we're going to be running some games in soon. We have a few. I'll name drop a couple that we have in the back. Right now we have Perils and Princesses, which I was really looking forward to checking out. We backed Obajima, which go ahead, Ryan.
That's by Outrider Creative. Ryan Lynch is the creator on that. He's a super nice guy. It's really cool. You should check him out on TikTok if you haven't.
And we might chat with him at some point soon, maybe. Dum. Not spoilers, previews. So we also backed Obajima, which is a 5e supplement setting, very Studio Ghibli inspired, which I'm very excited to kind of tap into a little bit. And we also backed
Is done by 1985 Games.
yes,
And they do more than just games, which is really cool. They sell like dice, miniatures, different things like that. They're really cool. I checked out their site, and they have such like a retro vibe. Like it's definitely like fueling my inner 80s child that I was never.
The Kickstarter comes. Some of the Kickstarter expansions for that included a cassette tape of the soundtrack, and the dice come in a VHS case. So yeah, that kind of thing. Then and then the last one I can think of off the top of my head is Eat the Reich, which is from Grant Howitt of Honey Heist fame. And it is a full-on game about being vampires in 1940s war-torn France. And your job is to
use my shitty French accent.
Yes, you do. And it's all about eating Nazis, so that's fun. So that'll be a fun one that we'll do probably next year. A lot of these will probably be next year just because they're kickstarted, so we got to let them actually produce the thing they got backed. So those will be coming up soon, but tonight we are talking about Outbreak Undead.
Before we get into that, I'd love to shout out some of our sponsors.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. Good call.
We here at DRPG are specifically sponsored by Grinding Coffee. Grinding Coffee is a Black-owned LGBTQ plus. God damn it, Streamlabs.
I'll fix it.
Okay, thank you. While we get Streamlabs under control.
It's just so excited it wants to tell us twice.
4 times even. Is a Black-owned LGBTQ plus coffee and coffee subscriptions company. They're super awesome. They've got a bunch of different flavors. I know Liz actually, in fact, bought some the other day. And I believe you got the cult classic one, if I'm not mistaken, which is chocolate and hazelnut. And I am personally very, very excited about trying the pumpkin spice. They also have like a cinnamon bun one, which, listen, I don't live near a Cinnabon, so this is the closest thing I'm gonna get, and I'm very excited about it. We are also affiliates of Hero Forge. Hero Forge is a miniature customization website. They're super awesome as well. They have recently been working on skinny minis, which are these they're like 2D miniatures rather than 3D. They're 2D, but they're 3D. Whoa. But you can fully customize your miniature, and you'll get the front and the back of it, but you can just kind of put it into a little thing. It's very awesome. They also just released their beta for their face customizer, which is amazing. Actually, Angela, if you want to talk a little bit about that, just because I know you've got
So the face customizer, as she said, is in beta, which means that it's only available for pro subscribers currently, but it will eventually go live for everybody. They're constantly working on it too. It is a very impressive, you can customize pretty much every feature on on the character's face to a silly degree. And it will honestly be an eternal time sink for you because you update your existing characters to make them look more unique and individual. I eventually will be running I think it's going to be a midday stream just because I have the time, called Hero Forge Facelifts, in which I will be making use of the face customizer and probably using the celebrity face claims of my players and myself to redesign the faces of a bunch of my NPCs and PC models that I've made. Obviously inspired by, you're not going to get 100% close, but also I don't think I want to get 100% close to real people's faces. It'll be fun. So we'll just hang out. It'll be kind of a chill stream, and we will play around. Ideally, what I'd like to do with the Hero Forge stream eventually is to also leverage it for a physical mini painting show that I want to do, using Hero Forge as the color inspiration. anybody who has pro subscriptions, you'll be able to suggest the colors that I use for my physical minis that I have, because I have a whole bunch of them. Not all of them Hero Forge, but they're all worthwhile. And so those, keep an eye out for those coming up soon. Just kind of getting my room less of a mess, and then we'll stream.
We here at Nerdsmith are also sponsored by World Anvil. I'm gonna let you take this one away too.
Sure. So World Anvil is an incredible world building and campaign management website. It is so vast, the amounts of information that you can make on your own sort of wiki repository of knowledge, whether you are a DM or a player that's really passionate about your game world, or a novelist, or any sort of fictional worlds that you might want to describe and build out. I'm tangent as part of the ad. I am currently kind of re-speccing my DM notebook, and part of that is going to be taking out the world building stuff and making it its own notebook, and that stuff is pretty much going to be directly moved into World Anvil very soon. So you can find, you'll be able to find a bunch more Veil content on our World Anvil very soon, which Veil is not the code, World Anvil is. I'm gonna figure out why it's posting 4 fucking times, but it's fine. Just making sure you don't miss the links.
It's been a continuous issue.
Yeah, I'll fix it.
Last but certainly not least, we are also sponsored by, we're affiliates of Die Hard Dice.
Or Dice affiliates, in point of fact.
That's true. That is very true. Die Hard Dice is a dice tray bag. Oh my god. Company. They create super awesome dice. If you like their stuff, you can check out our handy dandy link in the chat that will probably be posted
4 times.
4 times.
Redundancy is important.
It is. But you can use our code down there to get 10% off your entire purchase. I just need it known for the world, and I will not stop talking about this. Liz has a super freaking amazing bag from Die Hard Dice.
Yeah, they have really cool accessories.
It's so freaking awesome. It's got like little sections. Like, it's a big dice bag, but it's got sections where you can put sets of dice. And I want one so bad. And I went and looked for it. I couldn't find it. So Die Hard Dice, if you're listening, please, for all that is holy in the world, I need it. But it was at Gen Con. Next time. Next year.
You'll get it.
I'm gonna scour the depths of the earth for that. Anyway, but yes, we are affiliates, dice affiliates even of Die Hard Dice. You should definitely check them out. They're super awesome. If you like their dice and you like free things, you should definitely come check us out on Thursday for our Dreamhouse by Night stream. We are going to be giving away some glow-in-the-dark Die Hard dice. They're pink because, of course they are.
Technically, they're UV reactive, not glow-in-the-dark, but get yourself a UV light, and it makes them glow. No, this don't do nothing. You got to have a black light on it.
You mean you don't you don't emit UV light when you close your hands?
No, I don't, unfortunately.
I'll have to unlock that superpower for you.
But I will make sure we have it for the stream as I'm producing this week, that I have a flashlight. May or may not be for dog peeing on my carpet reasons, but I do have the flashlight for normal things, and it does make it glow iridescently pink, which is very, very fun. So I know for a fact that Die Hard, I don't think they currently have them in stock, but Die Hard was selling as an accessory to their dice trays a UV overhang light, which was very, very cool and exactly for these sort of dice.
That's awesome. So
we'll be giving away actually 2 sets of Die Hard dice. We have a set of ruby dice that appear to look like the metal dice, the Metal Mythica sets, but they are in fact polymer, so they're nice and light, but they still look really pretty.
I think we're gonna be doing 3 dice giveaways, if I'm not
We are,
mistaken.
but the other one's not Die Hard.
That's okay.
So we're
They
going to
still-
promote Die Hard today.
They still matter.
They do.
In addition to, we are also going to be giving away not 1, but 2 t-shirts of the I Am
Ruh-roh.
Kindred. You can find them on our Etsy store. What?
Which I will just paste in the chat instead of writing Etsy so that it only shows up once.
Aw, dang. I was so excited for the 4 link. The 4 link. Please don't do it. God.
I won't.
But no, you can check out our Etsy store. Our Etsy store is super awesome. We only have a few things up right now, but we're looking to expand soon enough. But right now, our I Am Kindred shirts are on pre-order, so be sure to check them out, as well as the stream if you want a chance to win one for free, because free stuff is awesome.
Yep, make sure you pre-order so we know how many to buy this time. If enough people buy them, we will consider putting them in the shop on the regular. So please take a look. If you would like to get them, now is the time to order them because they might end up being limited edition run. So grab your Kindred shirt.
True. What was I gonna say? Is that the last thing?
I think that is the last thing. Oh my god.
Gas. Oh, wait, no, I'll say that at the end. Never mind.
Okay. So
But yes,
Laura,
thank you to our sponsors.
I am your interviewer this evening.
Oh yes, I'll be very serious. Oh shoot, I should have put a blazer on for this.
No, it's okay. I'm wearing a Nerdsmith shirt, but it's not one we sell.
I'm wearing a striped shirt. It's
very
definitely not one we
Beetlejuice.
sell.
It's very Beetlejuice with your green background.
I was actually channeling Pugsley Adams.
I like that too. That's close. Those 2 musicals are in the same genre. They're fine. They're good. So let's talk Outbreak Undead. First things first, let's talk about it in the broad strokes. What kind of game are you running? What kind of show are you doing?
Outbreak Undead is a zombie apocalypse survival horror game. And I am very much taking that by the horns and running with it. But it will be something that's kind of interesting about the book is that it sets it up where it is already the apocalypse. So most of the time you're going to be actively starting with everything already have happened and you're post day 0, as it were. And the book actually breaks it up by outbreak level. So you get certain bonuses depending on what the outbreak level is. Our game is going to be starting at outbreak level 0 to 1. So we will be starting right at the beginning of the initial impact, and I'm very excited to get to see my players' reactions to some of the things that I've got in my pocket. It's weird. It's hard to not talk about it because I've got a player in chat, but she's not gonna say anything.
Oh my gosh.
No, but I'm very excited. It's gonna be super awesome. So I'm kind of taking a little bit of a twist, doing it at the start rather than deep delving into the nitty-gritty of the post-apocalypse. So we're pre-apocalypse right now. And it's going to be set in Colorado. So in a real-world setting, which will be super awesome. I don't know if you've ever seen the Colorado mountains. They are gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
I love them. And they're super awesome.
Not just in real life, but also by playing Horizon Zero Dawn, you see a lot of Utah and Colorado. It's pretty cool. And accurate.
But it's gonna be set up in the Colorado mountains, and it's going to be right on the verge of winter. So we're starting off with 4 college students that have just finished finals. And if you are a college student and have just finished finals, good luck to you. I know, I'm pretty sure it's getting to be finals week soon. So Godspeed to all of you out there. It is its own apocalypse. But they're finishing up. They're going to take a little vacay up in the mountains, and shit's going to hit the fan. And I'm very pumped about it. I'm not great at explaining things, everyone. Just so you know.
Fine. All right, so let's talk about the system a little bit. Mm-hmm. What kind of if you were needing to explain the mechanic just to kind of start with,
sure.
What kind of dice game are we talking? Is it a D6 game, a D20 game? What kind of
So
in general?
it's a D10 game.
Fun.
So it deals with percentiles, which is a very unique approach to the system. It does have D6s into it, but I'll get to that in a moment. But essentially, what you're most of the time going to be rolling is percentiles. So Outbreak Undead and Hunter's Entertainment have this handy dandy little I'll drop the link in the chat if I can find it. Have this handy dandy little website where you can fill out your attributes and or fill out, like, take a little survey, and it fills out your key attributes for the system. So they're called SPEW, which stand for strength, perception, I really should know this a little bit better than I do. Willpower and empathy. And you get certain scores. Most of them are going to be under 30, because that is what an average human would have. But what you can do through it is you add gestalt points, a bunch of other bonuses that you get from character creation, and eventually you end up with a percentage, which is your final percentage. So what you're doing when you roll your dice is you are trying to roll underneath that number. For every 10 that you roll underneath that number, you get what is called a degree of success. So a degree of success is essentially how well you do. However, on the counter side, every 10 above the number, you get what's called a degree of failure. Now, the system's really interesting in that it can be very punishing, but it also is very good for the GM if you fail. Not just because you failed, but it's very good because if the players want to choose to succeed, the GM can buy their degrees of failure off of them for what's called risk. Risk is used to enhance the environment around you. So you can make harder climates, more dangerous things to throw on their path, zombies with mutations, which is super fun, and I am totally not planning on using. I'm very excited
Not
about
at all.
part of the
Not at all.
No, not at all. But I'm very excited about that one. And it's got like a really integral kind of part to it. So but yeah, so that's the main thing with the skill checks. But they've got them broken down by it's your basic skills, your trained skills, and your expert skills. So basic skills are like a spot listen check. So like listening, kind of almost like perception check would be the D&D equivalent. As well as like stealthing and different things like that. And then your trained skills are like your brawl skill, essentially like hitting with slashing weapon or different things like that. So
Okay.
kind of breaks them down. And then expert skills are things that you're like very soundly trained in. So I believe Liz's character Kirk is actually trained quite a bit in engineering, so he has a specific skill in his expert skill that deals with engineering, which is kind of cool. So it gives the characters a little bit more flavor to themselves and allows them to utilize their abilities and their backstories. Now, getting on to the D6s. So it's actually not a D6, it's a D5. Interesting.
So do you roll a D6 and subtract 1? Is that how you basically do it?
No. So
tell me more.
So the D6s are rolled, even in character creation, they're done this way as far as I'm aware. Hunter's Entertainment, please don't come after me if I mess up the mess up how it's supposed to go, but this is how we did it in character creation. Though I will say the really cool thing about this book is that, like, on the first or second page, it basically tells you that if you don't like a rule, you don't have to use it. You can just throw that baby right out the window. So don't throw babies out of windows, but you know what I mean. Anyway, I'm sorry, bad joke. But we've never claimed to be a family-friendly channel.
Oh no, we're actively not.
But we are essentially, so you throw that, you don't have to use that rule, and then you can continue on with your game. But the D6s are broken down into 4 categories, I believe. Wow.
Yeah.
Just really loves me.
Yep. This is me trying to fix it. So
I think I see what the issue is. But yeah, I'm gonna
We'll talk about
close
it later.
that.
It's
No,
okay.
you're good. I'm closing that so I don't only have to look at it. So
Yep.
D6s are broken down into 4 categories technically, but 3 categories, which are speed dice, difficulty dice, and damage dice. So speed dice are basically how fast you take your turn and essentially what your initiative is. Now, these are rolled every single round, so initiative can change depending on how complex of an action that you want to do. So let's say, for instance, that we get into combat and we're up against a super crazy big zombie and stuff like that, and there's a few minions, I'm going to call them minions, on the side. And you're like, I want to shoot them all in a line, essentially. So I want to try to hit 5 targets. You can do that in this game. You can declare that you want to do that. But the thing is, for however difficult or how many actions you essentially want to take, so by hitting each of them, I would consider that an additional action. You'll get speed dice added to your roll. If you hit a threshold of, I believe it's 24, you essentially freeze.
Okay.
And panic, or like your gun gets jammed or something like that, and you're unable to do your turn. So you roll your speed dice and add them up. So when you're adding them up, this is where the D6 thing comes in. If you hit a 6, it becomes something called an exploding die. So it becomes a 5, and then you roll that dice again and add it to your total. So it basically doubles the roll, which is really bad when it comes to speed dice, because you want to try to get a lower roll so you can either act quicker or you don't hit that threshold of 24. Same thing with difficulty dice. So difficulty dice are not added to speed dice, but they are added to your percentile dice. So it makes it harder to get under your percentage number when you're making a skill check. So I say make a spot listen check, hold on, I'll pick a better skill for this. You're on a moving train that has a sheet of ice on top, and you're trying to run at it across at a full sprint to get away from some zombies. And it's going to probably be a pretty difficult thing to do. So I would say make a balance or endurance check and I would probably say that's probably about like a 2 or 3 difficulty dice. So I would add 2d6 to that. And whatever you roll on your percentage dice, in addition to the difficulty dice, if you roll a 6 on the difficulty dice, it explodes and you have to roll it again. So it adds that bigger number. However, the system doesn't always punish the player, because exploding dice also apply to damage dice. So the players, when they're doing, they're hacking and slashing, shooting or whatever, they will roll, and they will roll their damage dice. And if they roll a 6, then they get to roll an additional damage dice. And so if you continuously are rolling 6s, you could just knock something out of the park in one go. Yeah. Sorry. I think it's pretty snazzy, honestly.
Awesome. What do you think is your favorite kind of mechanic, or what is making you really jazzed about the system?
I just really like post-apocalyptic settings. I was a huge fan of The Walking Dead when it came out.
Sure.
My mom and I watched that religiously, every Sunday that it came out. For years and years and years. For my 18th birthday, we went to the Walker Stalker Con.
Delightful.
Up in Chicago, but it was a really, really good time. So I've always had a huge fascination with zombies and the undead. I like spooky horror stuff. If you know me, I am always I'm a Left 4 Dead girly. My dad raised me on that game. So I just really like the setting. I also really like that it's super adaptable, because Ivan Van Norman and the other creators on the writing team for Outbreak,
he did create that.
Did on it is made it adaptable for different settings. So there is a zombies in space one or stuff like that. The mutations are so adaptable, so you can do so many different things with it. I will say, because of that, it does make it a little bit crunchier, for lack of a better word.
Sure.
And doing the creation and everything like that. But I think once you have a firm understanding of what each of the mechanics is. It is pretty easy to explain, but it's definitely one of those things that you kind of have to read very carefully.
Yeah. Well, let's see. What sort of things do you want everybody to know about it? How would you want to pitch it to people? Like, who either don't know the system or aren't... Well, let's start with that. Why do you think other people will enjoy watching the system?
I think that kind of for the rule that I said earlier, that like if there's something that you don't like, you can kind of throw it out the window and you don't have to worry about it. So it makes the system very adaptable and much easier to learn in that respect. They've also got different settings in the system. So I believe the first one is just like arcade mode, which is like the easiest setting. That's like the green mode. Weekend warrior, which is the yellow mode, which is a little bit more intermediate, which is what we'll be using. And then I believe it's survivor or survivalist, which is the horror or the red mode. And so essentially it allows you to kind of pick what difficulty you want to be at. I do like that. I think that's going to be very inviting for newer people, so they can slightly or very much like kind of ease their way into the system. It is something that to keep in mind when you're reading the book, is that they use a lot of symbols to describe what they're talking about when they're describing mechanics. So familiarizing yourself with the symbols, which are in the back of the book, I very lately learned, is something to keep in mind and familiarize yourself with before deep delving into it. I think that answered your question, but I could have not.
No. So what? Let's talk a little bit about the story you want to tell, or we can talk about the players. One or the other. You can do both eventually. Which one do you want to do first?
So the story, I kind of talked about it a little bit, but it's a story of 4 very unlikely college friends. You've got 2 sorority girls and 2 very introverted nerdy guys going on a weekend trip to up into the Colorado mountains. I believe we've got, I'll try to shout them out, but we've got Rose playing Chelsea Fry. Devin's going to be playing Jennifer McIntosh.
Okay.
Who is our rich sorority girl. Chelsea's more of a, she's a med student, so she's going to be a little bit more of our healer, which is very good for this game. Kirk is just a baby boy engineer. He's just doing his best. He got a flashlight. He's great. I love him. And then Rowan, which is going to be Kirk is played by Liz. And then Rowan Fontana, who has the best name, honestly, is going to be played by Gabby. And Rowan is a little outdoorsy boy, so he's actually pretty familiar with the climate that they're going to be traversing into, which is very, very helpful. But speak of the devil and they shall appear. Hello, Gabby.
Hey, Gabby.
But,
looking for those sweet spoilers.
Honestly, I'm so sorry.
Rowan uses the them. Yeah.
Yes. So Rowan is but yeah, Rowan's super awesome. They are, I believe they use a tactical knife, which I'm very excited about. But I will say, I think my favorite weapon out of the bunch is probably going to be Chelsea's, which I'm not going to spoil because you'll just have to tune in to find out what it is. But let's just say it's going to be a booming time. Anyway, so back to what the story is about, because I like to bounce around the system. So they're going to be essentially going up into the Colorado mountains, just for a little bit of a retreat, trying to relax, have some fun, probably going on some hikes, doing different things like that, just playing some board games. I think we all said that that's how they all got together as friends, was that they started playing some board games or got assigned onto a project where they had to make a board game, something like that. So They're gonna do that. But then all hell's gonna break loose, and they're gonna have to figure out how to survive not only the cold, but the newly undead around them.
What kind of zombies are they? Or is that surprise?
Yeah,
It can be a surprise.
So I would say it is a surprise. But I will say that they are they're
Is
like
there-
a mix.
Is there a
They're a
variety of
mixture.
them?
Yes, so there's a
Okay.
mixture. So they will be a mixture between Walking Dead zombies, which are slow and like slightly nerfed World War Z zombies.
Okay. I assume based on the fact that it's just based on the vibes I'm getting from it, that player death is a very, very real possibility.
Oh,
if
100%.
not an inevitability.
Sorry, I was just reading Mouse's comment.
Yeah.
I mean, each other is that's actually a very good point. So, I will answer your question in a moment, Angela, if you want to keep that in the back
take your
burner,
time.
just so. But Mouse brings up
Cannot
a
make
good
any
point,
promises.
So,
I'll do my best.
But there is a mechanic in the game called morale. So I will say that this party beefed themselves up with abilities that protect it severely. So I don't know if it'll be an issue or not. But morale essentially is the party's mood, how they're acting, how they work together. And each character has a level of morale that they can't go under. If they do, they get to delve into what's called insanity points. And so insanity points essentially there's a whole big chart of stuff that they can choose from. But one of my favorite ones is is the homicidal maniac. So they can actually turn on their party and go a little bit crazy, which all of my characters or all my players have said that they're super down for. So could happen, could be a factor if they were to get bit. I will say I'm actually somebody who's very pro player death. Not player death, character death, not player death. Retcon that one real quick.
Now, when you say you're pro character death, you want it to happen, or you just think, yeah, that's a possibility?
Mostly, yeah, it's a possibility. Mostly in other systems, I think, and I think it sometimes creates a better story. I'm a very big believer that the good guy doesn't always win. And I think that's probably why I like zombie stories so much, because
I was gonna say that's like par for the course of the zombie.
It's quite literally humanity failing, and so I think that's a much more interesting story than, I mean, as much as I love Disney movies.
you enjoy those stories.
Yes, and
Gotcha.
So that's just a personal preference, but I love Disney stories. I love the good guys winning in the end and stuff like that, but I do really like those little flavor nuggets that like motivate the rest of the party, that kind of cataclysm them to, this is what we're fighting for, rather than just,
I love that your frames of reference are either it's Disney or it's zombies. There's no in between.
There's not. I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, so my players are super all on board for the insanity chart. We'll see if we get to it, though. They all have very high morale. But yeah.
Awesome. If anybody has any questions too, feel free. Other than tell us the story, Allorah. Other than that, if you have any questions, feel free to ping them in chat. Let's see. So,
if my players are in chat and have any questions, feel free to ask them.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are running. How long of a stream are we doing?
So it'll
how many
be
episodes?
a 4-episode stream.
Okay.
And it will go until the end of October. So it'll be the 6th, the 13th, yes, not those are the wrong dates. The 5th, the 12th, and the 19th, and the 26th.
That's October.
Yep. Do you remember what your other question was, Angela?
Nope. Welcome
write
to
it
my
down.
brain. I'm producing also. I didn't have time to write down. Honestly, I forgot at the moment you said you'll remember it. Now that I think about it.
Okay, so let's talk more about the system in general. So something that is very interesting about the system and something that we kind of want to implement in the game is incentives. So I mentioned risk earlier for the GM, that is earned through player failure. But mouse is a really good distraction, honestly. I say as I get distracted from what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Risk is used for the GMs to purchase things to make the game more hazardous and more difficult for the players. But players on the alternative side have what's called survival points, and those are earned through degrees of success, or they can be used through their competency points. So competency points are things that are essentially common sense, and they'll get 2 of those at the start of each game that they can spend to mitigate degrees of failure, so they don't have to, sell them over to me or choose to fail. So with that being said, though, survival points allows them to purchase resources. So at the beginning of the apocalypse, there is obviously going to be a lot more resources because it's the beginning of the apocalypse. People haven't started raiding and looting and everything like that, or consolidating stuff. I play a lot of Project Zomboid, if you guys can't tell.
Was about to bring
that up. But with that being said, there's also a level of it's a party pool. So they'll start off with some of the resources, but they will also see it dwindle because stuff costs a lot of money. One of the other things that they can purchase is more competency points. They can also purchase what's called a gestalt level. So a gestalt level is essentially their experience and their age. So gestalt is set up by their age up to, I believe it's 35 is the max that you can have, but it allows you to add bonuses to your percentiles and or your abilities, which that's actually, I'm sorry, I'm going to jump really quick and then I'll jump back, but that's a very interesting part of the system that I thought was really cool. So based off of your spew attributes, so your strength, your perception, your empathy, and your willpower, they've all got little symbols. So I believe strength is like a little arm, perception is an eye, empathy is a heart, and willpower is
probably
something.
A brain.
It's a brain. You're right. No, it is a brain. Good job. Using yours, not mine. But so they, based on the number or the percentage that they have, so the first number in the slot, so 20 could be 2, they'll get a set of arms or eyes or hearts or brains that they can spend on abilities and stuff like that. And there's this big old section of the book that basically goes into different highlights of those abilities, and depending on how many gestalt levels that you put into it, or how many attribute points that you put into it, you will get a certain tier of that ability. So if you get to level 5, which is where it caps, it's considered a mastery, and then you'll get the little additional bonus to it, but it costs more. So all of our players have started with 20 gestalt levels, as well as an additional 5 for it being Outbreak level 1.
Do you only get the benefit once you cap at 5, or do you get benefits from having a few points in?
So
each?
That was where it was a little tricky.
Okay.
To understand, because there is a tier cap, or rather, it's called an advancement cap. So you can't go past that level, but I believe if you use your gestalt points, or your gestalt levels, you are able to go past that percentage cap for your percentages for your skills.
Okay.
You can also spend gestalt levels on improving your abilities. So for a few of the players, we had their few attributes were like right on the cusp of like, I think one of them had like 229s. So how that works is that you spend the amount of gestalt levels according to the first number of the box. So they have to spend 2 in order to bump it to a 30 from a 29. So they use like the 20 as their preference point, but that also bumped up all of their other skills to a 3 rather than just having in that too. So it's a very math heavy system.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I like that's a fun fact about Allorah. I actually really like math. I'm very good at it. I am much better at algebra than I am geometry though. So I don't like shapes.
I think I'm the opposite. I think I'm better at geometry. I have a good spatial awareness.
Nope. I failed chemistry. What the fuck is volume?
Those aren't the same thing.
You have
I
to
failed
use
chemistry.
math.
I fucked up chemistry too.
You have to use math.
Not necessarily geometry
and
though.
Shapes to calculate volume. Maybe.
There's a lot more in chemistry though that I suck at. So, why don't we meander a little bit? What do you have any you name dropped a lot of zombie properties, but are there any in particular that you find you're probably drawing inspiration from the most?
Oh, 100%. So I actually, when the game was like kind of first getting developed and launched, I very, very heavily consumed the Smosh game that they posted over on their Board AF channel. And Ivan actually ran that game, which I thought was really cool. He was actually at Gen Con, and I was going to sign up for one of his events, but I didn't have time, and I was so sad about it.
Man.
But they said it actually in a winter setting, so I will probably be drawing a little bit of inspiration from that specifically, just for storytelling purposes as well as kind of a flow. He did a really great job. He also has a very good understanding of the system, so I was definitely kind of watching that very, very closely. Geek and Sundry also has had a show a while back called
also run by Ivan.
Yep. We Are the Frontier, which was really cool to watch. That's a very I think it's set like 27 years after the initial apocalypse, but that was very helpful with learning the rules. So for people who are wanting to run the system, I would definitely ping you over there just because that helped me. It's only 12 episodes long and they're only about an hour each. So throw it on at the back of the work if you work remotely. If you don't, watch it at home while you eat dinner. But other things that I am taking inspiration from, I did mention Project Zomboid earlier. Liz, Devin, and I are or have been avid players of that game for a while now.
You got me into it.
Yeah. I really enjoy the concept of building your skills in that game, as well as like navigating this world. There's always something behind the corner. You have things that are detrimental to you. Including
it does a very good job of being like incredibly thorough in all of the mechanics that game has for how low poly the graphics are. I mean, they put all their effort into the system itself. Yeah, it's really impressive.
We're not paid to say this, but I definitely recommend this game. Go get the game. It's awesome. They're about to release the Animals update, which I'm fucking excited
like you get
about.
pets? You get like pets and animal companions? Or you have to fight animals? I don't know
about that one, but you can get, I think there's cows. And I'm very excited about that because I want milk.
Food. Yeah,
milk
I was going to say,
cheese.
I guess food aspect.
Listen, nothing is more satisfying than when my cabbages and lettuce get harvested and I can make a salad. But
I will say,
like salad with cheese, that you're just barbaric.
I don't think I've ever gotten to the farming point. But I'm sort of a perpetual scavenger. And anybody who knows me knows that I carry everything.
Liz and I
always have encumbrance issues.
Liz and I turned it into a cozy zombie game and farm. And
congratulations, because I never got to that. I guess you could. Did you guys play at a setting that allowed you to, or you just played at a normal setting and just went somewhere else?
We've done both.
Okay.
We currently have a game in Louisville, which is the most dangerous town. But we found a little row of houses that we've been able to barricade pretty well. So
My
10 out of
God.
10. We've got a cute little farm and a generator because the power just went out, and I've been learning the carpentry skills. Anyway, that's not what the game we're talking about tonight, but I highly recommend the system.
I was gonna say we have time if we want to talk about the things in this genre that we enjoy, because it's part
But
of the
yes.
game. It's embracing and celebrating what about it you enjoy.
Yeah. Something else that I really like, and I want to pull inspiration from is The Walking Dead, specifically the cusp of seasons 2 into 3 into 4.
Okay.
Because right there is where the crew is starting to kind of spoilers if you haven't
Unravel?
seen The Walking Dead, but I would say spoilers if you haven't seen The Walking Dead, but it's also been out for forever, so sorry, not sorry. But it's the zombies are still a threat, or rather the walkers in that in Gaiman's world there are still a threat, but they are slowly becoming less of a threat because people are starting to be a threat. And that's something I want to play on with. I wouldn't necessarily say the beginning of the apocalypse, but one thing that I'd like to do in the system, and this is a minor spoiler for the game, we will be jumping ahead at some point during the game. So you'll get to see the pre-apocalypse, you'll also get to see the post-apocalypse, and everything like that. And so we'll come back with better character sheets the week after that happens. But I very much want to play on this idea of how people can be desperate and manipulative in very high stakes. So jumping back to the character death thing, it is very possible that players could have their characters die, but I'm not gearing towards that.
Right. You're not trying to make it happen.
I like I said earlier, I'm actually a very big advocate for character death in games and TTRPGs. However, because I think it tells an interesting story sometimes when it's not overly done. But I do like the concept of it being a viable and real thing and very tangible that could happen at any moment, and it's very potent in zombie games specifically.
Of course, yeah.
But this is a system that is very punishing, and it acts that way, which I like consequences, not when they're used against me. I don't have water mouse, so you're gonna get Coke out of me. That's the best I got.
That's hydration. Counts for now. For now. For today, it counts. Better than nothing.
So I'm interested to see and kind of navigate this very, like, I don't know how to say it, the process. So if one of the players gets bit for whatever reason, liquid is liquid. If one of the characters gets bit for whatever reason, I'm very interested to kind of play into how the virus affects their body, and how they slowly start to deteriorate, rather than just saying, "You're dead, sorry," kind of thing. Because I feel like that's a less interesting story than trying to, maybe one of them will keep it from the other players or something like that. Like, not players, but characters.
Good to know, though, that body horror might be a triggering topic in the in the
game. There's quite a bit. I will say that we did very thoroughly go through our lines and bills.
Good, great. Especially in a horror game, that's really important.
It was so funny. So there was like we were very against the concept of like romance and stuff like that in the zombie apocalypse, but sex jokes are on the table. Like, it was so funny. I remember like reading through that section. I was like,
nobody's getting flowers for anybody, but hey.
So but yeah, no. So it's very good. I'm very excited about that part of it.
Yeah.
Signals, I mean, the title itself, Signals of the Lost, should kind of give hints to what the story will be about, but I won't go too far. Another element that I will be pulling from is The Last of Us. I will say one thing that you all are calling sex jokes around the table, among other things. But it was right there.
I didn't say anything.
You shook your head. But Last of Us obviously is a very good source material to pull for zombie inspiration and post-apocalyptic inspiration.
Very good for like the structure of society afterwards because of that time jump.
100%.
I'm a big fan of that one.
I also just really love Troy Baker, Ashley Johnson, Pedro Pascal.
Listen, you are in a Pedro Pascal household, and
We are. It's. I feel like Jason Momoa is actually kind of fallen off the train. I still love him, but I do enjoy Pedro quite a bit. So
there's room for both.
You want to hear something wild about me? I actually haven't watched the ending of The Last of Us yet.
Do you know what it is?
Kinda.
Like via osmosis. I
want to watch it.
Found out
it's not for lack of desire. It's just for lack of time. And my friends are rude and watched it without me. I know.
How dare.
Honestly, that's the biggest anime betrayal in history, truly, right there.
Any other references that you, even if it's not zombie, any other things you like pulling from for that?
I don't. I want to say, weirdly, I feel like I'm going to be pulling from Passengers, which is a film about space. I feel like sci-fi is a very big thing here.
There's an isolation quality to it that I think probably plays really well.
So things like that. Subnautica, but like they're not going to be underwater. So, but but
there's tonal things that you can find connections with.
Something that I really Hunger Games is actually a very good thing.
Okay.
So specifically the second movie where they have like this arena that has different effects around it. I love the biome structure for those. And playing like with like especially since zombies have mutations and different things like that. The players are going to be starting out with survival points, but I will be starting with risk too. So
gotcha.
I get to mess with the environment right off the bat, which will be super awesome. But I've got ideas for like encounters where they have to like navigate. They might be able to scoot by and stuff like that. Until Dawn is I think definitely an environmental inspiration, especially with the to your point, Mouse, with the like how heavy it is for like winter aspects, and probably to some degree the lodge, because Jennifer McIntosh is rich in this, so she owns the cabin. But weirdly not the horror aspect of that one as much. I think that there's a lot of unless the players want to go in the more cliche route, which I'm adaptable there. Everyone loves a good cliche, and I love puns, so why not? But
so I have a question about the tone, or not tone, but the isolation aspect of the game as you're thinking of it. So you talked about the title, Signals of the Lost, at least hinting at this idea of contact being an eventual idea. Now, do you think, we'll say like as the apocalypse is happening or after the apocalypse, do you think that the world that your players are going to be inhabiting, is it more of a we don't know if anybody else is alive, or there are it could be weeks till we see someone, but we know there are people out there and we're trying to avoid them? Like what's the tone of the isolation that they're going to be experiencing?
So what I kind of want to go for is that there is a little bit of civilization established, not so much to the degrees of The Last of Us, where you have Fedra come in and everything like that.
You
There's,
literally
like,
have like the government still exists to some degree, and they tried to rebuild, or they've gone into kind of a feudal city state sort of vibe.
But I kind of want to take more of the Walking Dead initial, like,
Okay, so like you're gonna
route.
find a smattering of survivors, and they might be traveling together, and you might cross paths with people, but like for the most part, everyone's just trying to get their shit together.
Yeah, I would say a small, to some degree. I would say it's a little bit more established than that.
Okay.
Definitely towards the beginning, sure, absolutely.
Mhm.
But when I say jump ahead, I definitely mean a couple years. So there will
Sure.
be a little bit of time to kind of, and I mean, The Walking Dead's a great example of that. That's over the course of years.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
everything like that. But
You can only base it off the ages of the children, where it's like, yeah, suddenly they're 7.
God, I love Chandler Riggs. He did such a good job in that show. Anyway, small tangent. But Stephen Ewan will always have my heart. It's fine.
Hell yes.
I met him.
Always.
Did I tell you that?
No. Glenn is wonderful.
He was perfect.
He was.
He deserved better.
And that's why he died.
You know, we can't all be pizza boys. But he was a pizza delivery boy. He did so good. Anyway, very off topic, but
no, it's still zombies. It's on topic. We're good.
But the idea of it being established to some degree, to the point where like they have appointed leaders in a camp and stuff like that. One of the things that Outbreak Undead actually goes very strongly into, and I believe Linus actually mentioned it when we had him on a few weeks ago, but was the stronghold mechanics. I'm the worst, and we're not going to be using them.
Okay.
Only because it's a mini series, and they're going to be traveling for the majority of it.
Oh, then yeah, it doesn't matter. You could always use it if you're going to be giving them some sort of encounter that involves somebody who's made a stronghold, but yeah, you don't have to engage your players in it.
But I do like the idea of there being a little bit of establishment and the idea of contact eventually hitting, and everything like that. So, who knows what the other areas of the world, or even like the city adjacent, you know, Colorado mountains are pretty isolated. It takes you a few hours to get out of there, and the idea that like this apocalypse hit and they're kind of stranded up there, very much at a resort. Think if you've ever, this is probably the best adjacent that I have, but in Tennessee, like they've got the Smoky Mountain cabins and stuff like that, and they've got cabins lining the whole mountain. That's kind of the vibe, but in Colorado, so the winters are a lot more harsher.
One of my friends, my old college roommate, he used to work at a ski resort. So we went up there a couple of times. So you get the sense of like how far up in the mountains you are. The idea of the biggest culture shock for me going up there was when you're driving around in the, like on the highway or like in the roads there, you're all of a sudden like very, very claustrophobically between large cliffs. And
100%.
And then that idea, and then there's like nets over the road, and you're like, what are those nets for? And you realize there's big fucking rocks above you. So it's like trying to keep rocks from falling on you. Like that is, like, I wasn't scared at the time, but like, you think about the winter months then and how much snow ends up piling up on roads and in those little like crevices of spaces. Yeah, it's intense. And then you get like full spanning, like you can see across mountains. It's vast.
Well, and you have to think about the other thing. The roads aren't getting plowed. Like those, you are solely operating off the good graces of God with
the sun melting
literally.
Snow.
So
yeah.
So that'll be a very interesting thing if they try to use a car for whatever reason and everything like that. So good obstacles there.
Can they get a ski lift working to get somewhere?
Don't get out of my notes.
I'm picking. Well, let's talk about tropes for a second. I don't like the word cliche. I like the word trope because cliche has an inherent value judgment on it, I think. But yeah, they're just, winter Colorado tropes. When I went there, it was the summer, which was gorgeous, but they were still doing skiing because they brought a bunch of snow down from the top of the mountain and like smeared the side of the mountain so people could do snow. I'm like, that's a lot of work, y'all. But I guess when you're a ski resort, there's got to be skiing. But yeah, it's a beautiful
ski resort.
Oh yeah,
in Colorado. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful locations though. Like it really like the other thing that threw me was how dark it is if you're in the mountains, because it takes so long for the sun to peek up over the mountains to actually like light or warm anything. So there's this like in the morning as the sun's rising, you're still in like twilight. It's still very like dark blues, which is really cool, and it makes the sunrises look really gorgeous.
Oh, it's beautiful out there.
Yeah, there's a lot of hummingbirds too. Found that out too. Somebody had like their entire patio was just covered in hummingbird feeders. Well, hummingbird feeders, and then the hummingbirds were all there. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It should be fun. And intense, which those are your middle names. When it comes to DMing, yeah.
Allorah Intense Miles Load.
I said fun and intense. those are your two markers. So let's see what else we got. I did not see any questions anybody had.
Do you have any questions, Mouse?
Any at all? Oh, you already talked about the Until Dawn concept.
Mm-hmm.
That was already a thing. So this is, I believe, one of the last Nerdsmith Presents for the year.
Second to last.
Okay.
Yep. We got one more that's going to be coming up. It's a like, I wouldn't quite say Cthulhu, but Eldritch horror, 50s inspired, almost like Cthulhu horror meets BioShock is kind of the vibe I'm getting. So,
hell yeah.
if you could be a type of zombie, what would it be? Out of the system, there are some really cool ones. So I played a game at Gen Con that had I won't go too far into it because I might be pulling some stuff from it for my game. But there was this really cool zombie that had like, it seemed fully functional as a person. But its entire like side of its face was like just completely gone. But it was able to summon like crows as like ominous warnings and stuff like that. It was really cool. So I think honestly that one. But if we're being honest about like this is like what I would want to be, but what I would actually be was I would be some dumb bitch that fell in a well and was just like at the bottom of it waiting. I
like the jumpy guys from Left 4 Dead.
Oh, I hate those guys.
They're assholes when you're a person, but if you were a zombie, you could parkour.
No, Left 4 Dead. No, you're good. Okay, sorry. Awesome. I thought you were talking about Last of Us for a second. My brain went to Last of Us.
No.
I hate
the little jumpy guys in Left 4 Dead that like jump on your
jockeys.
Back. Yeah. That'd be fun. It just reminds me of the Scout from Team Fortress 2. You just have fast speed, just like, hey, what's up? It would be fun. Not that either of us would be at all conscious enough to enjoy any remote zombiness. Though I guess you were picking a semi-sentient one. But like, if you had to pick and you were gonna be dead anyway, be iconic. be the crying girl.
Oh, the witch.
Yeah.
Who knows? That might show, or some semblance of that might show up.
No, you do the one that Nicholas Hoult was in that one romantic comedy. I don't remember what it was called.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Warm Bodies.
Yeah. So you're like, that was like zombies had a potential to like rewind. Actually, no, I have an answer to this.
Are you gonna say Shaun of the Dead?
No, actually. That's fun though. So it did be Billy, yes, hell yes. So there's a book that became a movie. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I adore the book. The book is called The Girl with All the Gifts. It is it's a novel. Like, I don't want to spoil too much. I mean, we're already talking about zombies, so it's already been spoiled. It's about zombies. But it is about a bunch of school children who were infected, and they're being kept at a compound, and like trained, because it's kind of a mix between like sentient zombies and a little bit of the cordyceps, like fungus thing. And it's like in England, and the main character is this little girl who has the first chapter is beautiful. It was originally a short story that then got expanded into a novel, where you don't know she's a zombie creature thing until the very end of the first chapter. It's all from her perspective. It's about like going to school and learning from her teacher, there's a bunch of kids. One of the kids gets sick or something and has to leave. And then they start revealing like they're strapped into like chairs. They have face masks. They're not allowed to go near the adults. And like the teacher's very much trying to prove that these are children. These are not just undead. Because there's like a mix of how they reproduce. The idea is like spores kind of spread it. And these are kids that I think, if I remember correctly, like their mothers were pregnant with them or something. And so they've like become kind of hybrid. And so it's this idea of she and her teacher bond, and then there's military people who think she's just a monster, and the teacher's trying to like defend her, and they have this really interesting dynamic. And then the little girl trying to understand what she is really interesting. And then it just has this really fascinating ending that's not like happy, but also kind of hopeful in the idea that what is left or what comes after humans might still be valid. Kind of I Am Legend-esque, where it's like the monsters people become, maybe that's just the next thing that exists. It's not that people like come back. It's like, no, it's whatever they became now, that's the population now. And you just got to learn how to exist with that, which I think is a very interesting spin on the zombie trope, where it's like, yeah, it's not just going to be a bunch of undead, mindless things just eating carrion until everything decomposes. It's like, no, you're actually creating a new species of being that's going to be the like dominant species, which is interesting. But the book is gorgeous and beautiful, and it like made me cry multiple times. The little girl and her teacher are so sweet. It's very Matilda and Miss Honey, except Matilda eats people.
You know. Cool.
But yeah, that's my zombie recommendation. Do you have a zombie? You talked about Project Zomboid, but do you have a zombie media recommendation for viewers?
Let's see. Let me think.
And I'll put a link to that book.
I like The Walking Dead, but I at a certain point you got to stop, kind of thing. Like it's not a full engagement situation.
Sure.
I love the Left 4 Dead games. Those are always fun. I mean, I can recommend the Last of Us games. Those are great. You should play those.
You got a little niche one you enjoy? I mean, Project Zomboid is relatively niche.
Yeah. I feel like I'm trying to think. I feel like I have something, but I can't think of it.
That's okay.
I'd have to scroll through my Steam library a little bit. Back 4 Blood is the sequel, or I say the sequel, the threequel, the trilogy, the multiple years later adjacent game to Left 4 Dead.
Oh, interesting.
And
okay.
It's got a bit more of a, I wouldn't say story to it. It's like a trading card. It's like Magic meets zombies meets Left 4 Dead. So like you buff your character with cards and stuff like that, but then you go on these missions, and they've got really cool stories and stuff like that. And they've got some really dope zombies too in there. But
awesome.
It's definitely one of those things that like you gotta learn the game a little bit before you play it.
Sure.
I think Project Zomboid is probably my favorite. It's the closest thing that you can get to a farming sim while
Also being scary and
also being scary and challenging. It's a skill building game.
Mhm. There are
If
some
you
mods
like,
that are worth checking out, I think, for it if you want to just like goof off and see what it can do. Um, I also have found a lot of YouTube channels that have really fun, like, because of how expansive the system is and how many systems are in that game. It's really interesting to find YouTube channels where people have like uh basically like strategy guides where it's like, oh shit, I didn't even know it did that. Because you there's obviously a fun level of discovery to it, but I found the systems were so deep and complex that it was helpful to sometimes have someone go, oh hey, by the way, you can do this. I'm like, oh shit, cool. So yeah,
my
so
favorite
Project
mod
Zomboid.
is the trash deleting mod. It's great. It's so nice.
I just started loading bodies into dumpsters. That's
Why would
also
you do
how
that when you can throw Molotovs at them?
That's fair. That's also what I learned how to do in Baldur's Gate. I turned it into Hitman, is what I'm saying. Didn't do anything. Didn't do nothing. All right, so yeah, what's up?
This is another game that I like grew up on that's kind of inspiring a little bit.
Yeah.
Dead Rising. I don't know if you ever
Oh
played
hell
that.
yeah! In the
I haven't
mall.
played that. I haven't played that in years, but I really
there's
enjoyed
multiple
that
sequels. I know one of the sequels was in Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are fun. That's definitely like embracing the shoot 'em up vibe of a huge zombie horde.
It's interesting for the one that's set. I think it's either the second or third one, but like it's set in you start off with like you're on a motorcycle and you're in an arena and zombies are chasing you and you're trying to like kill the most of them or something like that. Like they've turned it into a game kind of thing.
Sure.
And stuff like that. So that's kind of interesting. That won't be in my game, unfortunately. But
that's very Mad Max. That's like if Mad Max had zombies, that's what they would do.
We should collab on that.
Kind of reminds me of Borderlands too. Borderlands has that because when you go to the zombie like expansions.
But I think one aspect from Dead Rising that will probably enter a little bit is the rescue side of things. So that is your last and minor spoiler that might enter the game. So
I don't think it's that much of a spoiler. It's a taste, an amuse-bouche of zombies.
Amuse-bouche.
Yep. All right, so I think we're pretty close to end of time. And so everybody, if you haven't already figured it out, you should watch this show. Outbreak Undead, Signals of the Lost is coming up on the 5th of October, which will be next week. This week, we have the finale of Dream House by Night, of which Laura is also in that. It is our Barbie-inspired Vampire the Masquerade 2-shot. And it, I'm sure it will be colorful and crazy. Not yet. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it in the next day or so.
It was so crazy. Oh my God. Nicole is an amazing GM, by the way.
That's great. I'm excited.
The freaking edge of my seat at the end. Dear God. I was panicking.
Well, that is nothing if not a sign off of approval from Allorah. You can find it on our Twitch VOD, and we're gonna get it up on YouTube if it's not already up there. We'll get that up tomorrow, and you guys can check it out. We're gonna be posting a bunch of clips from it. Oh, good, Mouse. Find out a good way to spend your time at work. Go check it out right now. And so yeah, so we're going to be finishing that up on this week. That's on Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. I will be posting more stuff from it, some clips and things like that over the course of the week while we're getting ready for it. And on Friday, we have the Dragon's Crown. No, we don't have Dragon's Crown.
Dragon's Crown.
It was an off week.
Yep, Dragon's Crown is on hiatus. Franz is currently on vacation, as he deserves to be.
Ew.
And Dragon's Crown will return on October 6th.
All right.
But for some other fun stuff, next week we will be returning with Nerdsmith Pixel for Baldur's Gate 3 with
Gate.
Gabby. Gabby is amazing. If you don't know them, you should. Check them out at Blabby Gabby at Twitch. They often play Baldur's Gate at the moment, as well as Stray Gods. He is amazing. I love Gabby. We just sat on call the other day and just played Baldur's Gate simultaneously. It was great. But we'll be doing that.
There we go.
Oh, that's so cool. I didn't know we could do that.
Yeah, it's /shoutout.
Noted. I'll keep that in mind for the future. But yes, Gabby is amazing. In addition to, if you're not in our Discord, what are you doing? You should be. But we will be having a movie night, courtesy of me deciding last night that I wanted to do it. But we're going to be watching Ferris Bueller's Day Off on Saturday night at 8 p.m. Central Time, which is 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. So jump in, watch that, grab some popcorn, grab some blankets, and out with us. But yes, very exciting stuff coming up. Yeah, I'm super excited.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Allorah, for spending some time
of course.
Talking about your new show.
Interviewing me.
Yeah, I'm excited. And Mouse, enjoy your session 0 that night.
Is that with my girlfriend?
Maybe. Probably. Before we leave, quick, because it's Discover RPG, we'd like to talk about that. My partner Andy is going to be running an in-person game for me and a couple people soon. We are playing. You move or visit. We are playing a community college, a fantasy community college.
Oh my fucking god, it's gonna be great.
I'm gonna be playing an adult learner, a second career paladin who accidentally oath broke, and was a path of the ancient, was an oath of the ancients, but just could not give up that Starbucks, and is I think now a path of heroism paladin rather than a path of an oathbreaker. I wanted to do something that was not just evil undead thing. Yeah. And Andy realized that the person had double carry capacity, and he goes, now he just have to pick a race that also has double carry capacity. And I went, can I be a centaur? So the Belt of Centaur kind might come into play.
Jeez Louise.
Anyway, so it should be fun. I'll report back if we continue doing it. The other option Andy had was you are Ursula the Sea Witch's eel minions, and you get turned into humans to go do her bidding. So you have a fish form and a person form, which also could have been very fun. I almost got him a mug that said "Poor unfortunate soul." But anyway, so, life goes on, TTRPGs go on, and we continue goofing off. Thank you all so much for joining us. And thank you to our sponsors, Die Hard Dice, World Anvil, Hero Forge, and Grinding Coffee. Please check any of them out. You can find info beneath us, I believe, as well on the...
Did we fix Streamlabs?
No. I have a theory, though. It involves shutting everything down and restarting all of the services that we have Twitch connected to. It'll take a second, and I'll need Franz to be near his phone to do it, but we'll figure it out. Cool. So we will be here next week with Pixel, and we hope you all have a wonderful rest of your night. Thank you for joining us. Have a great day. Have a great day /night/week. Take time zone. Take care of yourselves, make good choices, and above all, do us a favor and be good to each other. Good night, friends. Bye-bye.
Adios.
We'll see you for Outbreak Undead.
What's your emergency?
Copy that, Delta Team 77 is about 5 minutes.
When I